Hello and welcome to this edition of Bayou Time. I'm your host, Keith Whiteside, licensed clinical social worker with Terrible Home Care. Very glad you're joining us. However you may be joining us, we appreciate it very, very much. And I'm very excited to have my friend and colleague here in the studio with me, Captain Brendan Mathern, Lafourche Parish Sheriff's Office. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir. And so thanks for all that you do coming. I know today was an important day and celebrating that Mass and being here. And so thanks for being present. As usual, we have some breaking news, but it's some good news to bring.
Yeah, we did make 2 arrests in our recent missing persons case that led to a murder investigation.
Right.
34-year-old Troy Michael John Lewis of Thibodaux was reported missing on September 17th. His body was found the very next day in Assumption Parish, and it was found in Bayou Lafourche. So already we were dealing with a homicide investigation spanning 2 parishes. So Lafourche and Assumption Parish initially started that investigation.
Right.
Ended up, as we continued to build up investigation and as well as possible suspects, we landed on 2 individuals, one of which lives in Terrebonne Parish, and that was Tierra Pendleton.
Right.
And
Pictured here.
Correct. And the other person, Eddie Clark III. Those were the 2 suspects that we were looking at. Pendleton lives in Terrebonne Parish on the northern end near the Thibodaux area. We executed a search warrant at her residence. We found evidence of around the crime at her residence. Clark was actually present and tried to escape custody at the time, but we did get him into custody very quickly thanks to our friends at the Terrebonne Parish Sheriff's Office SWAT team. So now you've got 3 jurisdictions involved.
Wow.
And then as the investigation continued, vehicles that were used that night in the commission of the crime were located one in Marrero in Jefferson Parish and another in East Baton Rouge Parish. So 5 jurisdictions involved in this investigation, but ultimately what it led to was 2 individuals charged with second-degree murder, Pendleton and Clark, second-degree murder in the murder of Troy Michael John Lewis. So obviously a huge thank you to all of those sheriff's offices that lended their hand in the investigation. And quite frankly, they were all very helpful in ultimately bringing all that evidence together. And evidence is the key word here. A lot of times when we're investigating murders, we do have evidence, but sometimes it's a lot of testimony as well, eyewitnesses, and certainly that'll all play into it. But the evidence found inside the vehicles, inside the residence, all ties back to the victim, to the crime scene. And so we believe that we have a solid case that we're going to hand off to the district attorney's office.
Well, and you talk about the complexity of some of these cases where we see not only did the crime potentially take place in one area, the body was found in a different parish, they live in other parishes, and the vehicles have been found or located in other areas. But it's gathering all of that data that's so important, because we can't build a case without that evidence and that credible data.
You know, we often talk about how all of our law enforcement agencies in the area work together, and without that cooperation, we wouldn't be able to investigate a case like this. Crime, as you know, knows no boundaries, and it knows no jurisdictional differences. You know, when these criminals are committing crimes, they're not thinking about necessarily that they're committing a crime one place, dumping a body in another place, and maybe dumping cars in another. They're just trying to get away with the crime that they've committed. It's up to us on the investigation side to bring all of those all of those investigators from all of those different jurisdictions together, sort of put our cards on the table and make heads or tails of the case. It is very difficult to do, but thankfully we have some of the world-class detectives at our agency as well as our surrounding agencies to be able to work together and, you know, kind of connect all those dots and come up with, you know, arrests, in this case, 2 second-degree murder charges.
Yeah, and again, so the gentleman, Troy Michael John Lewis, 34 years of age, was found in Assumption Parish on September 18th. This is him pictured here, and we have the 2 people that are charged with second-degree murder, Eddie Clark III and Tierra Pendleton, pictured here as well. And again, we talk about how we're just so very glad these things have kind of happened so quickly. I'm so very impressed that because these kinds of situations, in my opinion, years ago, took so much longer. I think it's the sharing of information and the data transfer of understanding and people's willingness to work together.
No question. And throw into that the technological advances.
Right.
You know, our license plate recognition cameras that are all over the parish and all over surrounding parishes. Reading the 5 or 6 pages I read this morning of that arrest warrant, a lot of technology was used to be able to track these individuals, and not even using license plates on the proper vehicles. That's how advanced the technology is, the investigation is, to be able to track all of these things and be able to still make an arrest and still make heads or tails of the information that you're looking at. Phenomenal. Tracking cell phone usage, data, Bluetooth, everything.
Right.
All
of those
plays
things.
into it.
Right. And then now some other information that we got. We don't have a lot of information, but let's talk about this bombing the bomb threat that we heard about.
Sure. Thibodeau High School today was evacuated due to a bomb threat. We did not believe there was any credibility to it, but obviously we, out of an abundance of caution, we do investigate, evacuated the school. Obviously no children were hurt. The investigation completed, and the school was issued the all clear. Really, the unfortunate thing about this incident is it lended itself to a huge, a lot of different rumors.
Okay.
And rumors all over the map, from school shooting to an overdose to someone dying. None of that is true. All of that is rumors, and that's ultimately the issue when you're sharing information that's not from a credible source. You're inciting panic in a situation that otherwise doesn't need any.
And so that situation remedied very quickly, and we do not feel that there's a threat at this time.
Exactly.
Everything seemed clear. Captain, we thank you so very much for everything that you do, and more importantly, coming in and share that stuff with us.
Thank you, Keith. Thanks for having us.
All right. And that will do it for this particular segment. Don't go anywhere. A lot more right here on Bayou Time.